What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my adventures in Mythic plus pugging. Today we have a nice redemption key on our hands. We were doing this 13 yesterday and we barely untimed it for by about 15 seconds or something like that. And so I hopped back into this with a totally different group, and we actually do end up timing this. Our DPS is kind of low this key. That at least it feels that way. So we're going to be struggling a little bit, and some of these pulls will live for an absolute eternity, but it'll be a good way to showcase how to not die as a tank in this dungeon and just other things to do. So doing the same gather as before, we have a couple range standing out there, but we make sure that they are trying to stack here just so that the sharpshooters will jump in. We pop Lust, and as you can see at the top, it feels like our damage is much lower than it should be with all people that are around 2,900 or something like that. I am just kind of fighting for third place on the damage meter with a Hunter here, but it should be pretty free as far as me not dying at least. We'll pre-incarn right before the key is put in, and then we will try and interrupt all of these defends from these footmen. And then we'll Typhoon, get a nice little pixel stack, and then we'll just rotate defensive cooldowns to make sure that we don't die. We're out of frenzied regen stacks, so we want to make sure that we have something going to reduce the damage. So yeah, pop Rage of the Sleeper. Pull goes down. Not a bad first pull. Ideally, you would want that pull to be dead by the time Lust is over, but can't complain too much there. I try and reposition here just to get things out of the defend, but I realize that this is kind of a bad idea, so I just want to, I get smacked back here, and then I'm like, okay, this is a bad idea. So I get knocked over that trap, and we take out the first pull without too much difficulty. So now we're going to be looking to get Chainmail. Chainmail should be pathing from the top over here, so I try and get knocked back into this little patrol or little mob over here, run up here to grab all the footmen, and then make sure everything here is tagged so that we can get this sharpshooter to jump up the stairs. I'll aggro all of this, and then Chainmail should also appear at the top of the stairs here, so we'll chain her into the rest of this. Our Hunter actually does end up dying there. I think he just gets meleeed or something like that by Chainmail or something. Not entirely sure what happened there, but we lose a little bit of uptime there. And we should be trying to cleave off of Chainmail, have her as the primary target, make sure all the footmen are just kind of going down, interrupting all these defends as usual, and then we'll try and chain pull Chainmail into a bunch of the mobs on the left-hand side of the room here. So we'll take these out without too much difficulty. I'm just going to skip ahead just so you can so we can avoid the rest of this pull. And as the footmen are getting low, we'll go over here. I want to make sure that I'm pulling these footmen over on the left-hand side first, because they are going to be the ones that are going to have no trouble moving, and then we'll drag everything over to this Priest Conjurer pack because they will be a little bit more difficult to move. So popping skin on pull, making sure I'm not going to die, but I do feel pretty durable this key. I'm usually not worried about dying anymore on Bear, and again, we will get a bunch of good cleave on these mobs. And Chainmail should go down here in a second. So pretty standard pull. Just make sure you get kicks on the Conjurer, on the Priest right here, and then the Footman should kind of just go down as well. So we'll skip ahead just a little bit to where we can finish off this pull, and then we will make our way up the stairs here. So you can either skip in the middle here, you can just kind of run past. I see that the Footman is still alive, and I don't want him to like social aggro or anything, so I kind of call off the skip right here because he's just living forever. And then we will skip over on the right-hand side here. You don't need a Mind Soothe or anything like that. You can just jump over this little gap here. I did miss it last time, so the last recording I did miss it, but this time, boom, easy clap. We are right over. And I see that the 5-pack is coming towards us, so I want to make sure that, or the 6-pack I should say, and so I want to make sure that this gets out of the way so that when we trigger Dual Maul and he's running past, we don't get him with the 6-pack like we did last time. So just pop Nature's Vigil, help out my healer a little bit as the pot shots, the shoots, and maybe a couple casts are going to go off. But we'll take out this pull, and then we are going to be looking to go around and kill the mini boss over on the back side. You will also notice that we don't have a whole lot of party buffs in this run as well, so we don't have Arcane Intellect. We just have that Demon Hunter brand and the Versatility Druid buff. I think it's best to just get a bunch of party buffs or at least go with some kind of comp. I usually, I mean, no hate, but I usually don't invite hunters just because they don't really provide anything in that regard. I think shamans are always kind of better as far as like having lust, having a mastery buff, and all that sort of thing. So especially when you get to higher keys, you just want anything that you can get to make things easier. So we'll go over to the mini boss here. Make sure to pop some cooldowns preemptively. I just feel like I usually get bricked by these neophytes sometimes, so making sure that there is no chance I will die. I do overlap cooldowns. You're not supposed to do that necessarily because they don't stack. You don't get like 50% and then another 20% and another 20%, so you have 90%. I think they have like half value or something like that. They have diminishing returns. So make sure that when you're playing bear, you're not using like survival instincts and bark skin unless you really, really are concerned about taking a monstrous hit. And there's not that many hits like that in the game where you'd actually be kind of nervous about that. So throwing down the preliminary Ursals to make sure that when these defends come out, I'm able to pixel stack the mobs. And this is just a pretty easy pull. Those non-elites, those neophytes are going to die pretty quickly. These footmen are not going to be hitting anyone besides me. We'll just get some kicks on the boss here, and she should go down pretty easily. So skipping right ahead, once this boss dies, we'll go over to the right hand side here. We'll make our way towards Dual Maul, because we will trigger the second mini boss, the third mini boss, fourth mini boss, oh man, to come along here. So we'll get this 3-pack with the mini boss, drag it a little bit of distance out of that corner, and then we'll wait for Dual Maul to pat past the other patrol over here, the other mob over here on the side of the screen. We'll get a kick to make sure that he walks into the rest of these, and then we can get some good cleave off of him. And so right here, we're trying to make sure that we are always cleaving off these mini bosses. You don't want to do these alone if possible. It will save you a ton of time if you're going to be able to get some cleave, kill some other mobs while you are taking out the mini bosses. They have a ton of health. You will save so much time in this key. If you've been doing these mini bosses by themselves, try something like this just to make sure that you can make the key go a little bit faster. So we'll pull everything over here, and again, Dual Maul's at about half HP, but we'll get another mob to cleave with him, so hopefully they will die around the same time. And we'll all just stack in melee. Those sharpshooters will be over there. If you have a DK, you can obviously grip those, but they'll jump into melee regardless. So the first one does, and the second one should follow suit. There we go. And now we're in a position to get some more good cleave on these sharpshooters. Dual Maul is almost dead. There's only one kick in the pack that we have to worry about. We just have to focus all of our kicks on Dual Maul, and everything else should be pretty easy. So we kill him mid Ember Storm, and we just have to finish all these mobs off. We should be at about 42% count going into the first boss, which is where you want to be. And as you can see, we're doing it a little bit slower because we have 85 seconds on Lust. You want to be done with this pack and going into the boss with 2 minutes. I feel like that would be a pretty good time. You're very much on pace to time the key if you were at that point. But we had a pretty slow first pull, and it was a little bit rough in that regard. So going to be just a bit behind schedule, but that is a-okay. So as you can see, we're at 42% count. I make sure to rebuff because I think I forgot to earlier. And there we go. We also didn't get the priest buff off of the middle of the first kind of area in this key as well. So we don't even have that priest buff or paladin buff that you can get from the dungeon, meaning we're going to be lacking some damage in that regard too. I kind of just eat this first bleed with just bark skin and a frenzied regen, feeling pretty confident. We pop Incarn to deal with the second one. Don't have Nature's Vigil, otherwise I would have tried to help the healer out, but since we're right at the start of the pull, healer should have plenty of time. He's got power infusion going, should have plenty of haste to be able to heal that off. And then the next bleed comes out. I still have Incarn rolling from the first one. I have plenty of charges of frenzied regen. You won't deplete any charges of frenzied regen when you are in Incarn, so feel free to use that to heal up. And then the next Pierce Armor is going to come out. I just pop Solar Beam, and I just try and conserve cooldowns here. I know I have 2 charges of Frenzied Regen, so I should be able to just heal through it. I also have Renew. I don't have too many stacks of Iron Fur, but that is okay. We'll eat up that next bleed, and we will Bark Skin the initial hit, get a couple, little bit of value there, and we'll have Renew and Pot and all that sort of stuff for the remainder of the bleed in case it ends up taking us pretty low. So next Pierce Armor comes out, and I think we're just going to eat this one too. I have Rage of the Sleeper going, and then we'll drop pretty low here, Frenzied Regen, and be in a bad spot. But And there we go. We'll have Survival Instincts for this next one. And then, as you can see, we'll just kind of rotate cooldowns. So we'll have Bark Skin, and then we'll be able to farm Incarn and another Rage of the Sleeper there to finish off the pull. So this pull goes pretty much as normal. Just kick what needs to be kicked and live as the tank, and you should be okay. So going into this pull without Incarn is a little bit spooky. I don't know why there's like a weird line of sight there. I can't ever get that mob, but we're just going to go over here, drag everything around the corner, and this is where you want to lust, and I assume that the hunter is going to do it, but I don't have any cooldowns running, so I'm not going to stop my rotation to type. I actually do. Wow, I'm surprised that I did that. We type lust. He doesn't press it, I don't think, this pull at all. So this is where you would definitely want to blow lust. You need a ton of damage for this pull, and I am absolutely struggling. I need the haste. I just want to make sure that I'm able to live, because if we die here, then the key is pretty much bricked. I feel like we are definitely behind on time with how much of the key we have left to do. I don't have any charges of frenzied regen. I just have Bark Skin, and I'm just trying to farm back Incarn as fast as humanly possible. And again, we didn't lust this pull, so this lives much longer. It's a lot of strain on the healer with these paladins using the Sacred Toll. It's a lot of movement with all these consecrations coming out. As you can see, Sacred Toll hits pretty hard. Luckily, we have a little overshield there, but still takes for about 30% of someone's health if they don't have anything running. So we get through the pull, but we need to lust something, because now there's a lot of dead air. There's nothing else in this room that is really needed for lust. So, yeah, you really want to get a good pull off the rip. Go as big as you possibly can and pop lust there, just because lusting the first boss is not really worth it, and yeah, lusting this boss is also not really worth it. So now we're kind of sitting here in an awkward spot, because we just have all this downtime on lust, or this lust is available for us, but we don't really want to use it because these double pulls aren't really aren't going to warrant using lust for. So we're just going to do these as usual, making sure to move the paladins and the templars out of the consecration there, making sure to keep your health in mind for those sacred tolls. As you can see, they do hit pretty hard, and making sure those sacred tolls are desynced if you can. Make sure that you're pulling the paladins at different times to make sure those sacred tolls don't go off one after another. Your healer should have plenty of time to top people up. So try and chain pull into these casters on the right hand side, and then we'll try and chain these into the middle pull as well, because I need to save time. So I don't know how I didn't get aggro on that Templar there, but I try and double pull here, and hopefully he will lust or something like that. I just kind of hope he gets the hint to some degree, but we do lose someone here, just to a bunch of casters. And this was probably my bad. I think I should have just taken it easy, but I think if we're not doing pulls like this, we aren't going to time the key. So I'm definitely feeling the time crunch here a bit, and then some of these pulls just feel like they're living for an absolute eternity. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty standard pull. Standard as far as the mobs are going to do what they do. We end up getting through it, but yeah, we'll just go into the second boss here. And if you've seen this boss, one of his phases, you've seen all of them. So I think we tell him to lust this boss too, and we have a really delayed lust here. I don't know what's going on. We both type it, we ping him, and he finally does it. So thank God. But again, this boss is not really lust-worthy. We're getting only single target value off of this, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the right thing. So we bait the Caster's Gator Shield over here, and then we'll run over to soak all these balls. On higher keys, these balls do a lot of raid damage. It can stack up, so make sure that you're not popping these too quick. Give your healer a chance to top people up before you get going here. But yeah, we'll just bait the Castigator Shield. We'll all stack up for the Hammers of Purity. As you can see, those drop at our feet. We'll keep moving around the room in a counterclockwise fashion here. We'll get the Sacrificial Pyre that shows up. All those hammers are still around that, so we don't need to worry about that at the moment. We'll have the Castigator Shield all baited in melee. We'll all just run out of it, and then we'll go and start soaking the orbs. But we have plenty of time. I see everyone's at pretty high health, so I go ahead and soak one of those, and we're all good. So Yeah, nothing too crazy about this boss. I should be trying to use the Castigator Shield skip tech, but that is okay. So we'll just skip to the end of this boss because it really is just rinse and repeat. We end up losing the Hunter again here, and we'll go to the top of the stairs, making sure that he's able to release here, rebuff. And going into this last room with just about 12 minutes on the clock is going to be incredibly, incredibly tight, especially because we don't have the highest damage in this key as well. We do have a couple scary packs left, so this pack with the double priest, we're making sure to kick those. Paladins will again be using Sacred Toll, or Divine Toll, whatever you want to call it. So there's going to be a lot of damage going out, especially if we're not kicking here. As you can see, people's healths are going down pretty quickly. Unfortunately, the Demon Hunter does pop Darkness after everything has really gone out. Both the Sacred Tolls have gone out, the priests aren't casting, so we don't get any value off of that. And as you can see, the damage is pretty tight in the top left. I am competing with the Demon Hunter and the Hunter on a 6-pack, which is usually not what you want to see. So anyway, we'll skip ahead, and we'll go right into this Paladin. We'll drag him up the stairs, start trying to save a little bit of time, and then we'll do the same standard pull where you pull this Mage, the Light Spawn, and the Priest out the door here. And there we go. There we have it. So we'll get everything nice and gathered, and then we'll start blasting through this. I believe we lost someone right at the end there, or we lose someone this pull, so we cost another 15 seconds off of our timer. Yeah, and I did look at the deaths at the end. A lot of them are, I think, the Hunter. So it's just a rough key. But somehow, miraculously, we end up timing this. So it will be a bit of an exciting finish to this key. We get some good damage going here, making sure to kill these mages and the casters as fast as humanly possible. And then we will focus the Light Spawn down, get these Paladins down, making sure that everything is movable when the light spawns get to about 30%. So I see the light spawn drop to about 30, and I'm like looking for the next chain pull because I know we need to save time here. Unfortunately, the light spawn lives a bit longer than I want to, and he will heal up that footman. Never mind, the footman does actually die, but you don't want people to be in that light blast. And I'm trying to move stuff back, and I think the purification is fine here, but I think someone body pulls. I think the Hunter body pulls is what it looks like there. So we body pull this middle pack, and that's just bad news. I'm like, oh boy, we are going to die here for sure. So we need to just pop every form of CC that we can, making sure to kick those fireball volleys. We actually lose our healer, and he releases. I would have probably rather him waited for a B-res there because he's just going to have to run back, and we're going to be in a bit of jeopardy while we're waiting for him to get back. This could have gone a lot worse, especially because the double purifications go out. Luckily, they both go on the Demon Hunter, and he's able to just nether walk and soak all of that damage. If they had gone on anybody else, we probably would have lost someone else there, and that could have been bad. So make sure that you watch this pat. It was maybe a little bit greedy for me to step forward there and try and chain pull, but we also want to watch those body pulls. We lose the Hunter again. And as you can see, our damage is going to be pretty low on like 10 mobs. Yeah, you probably want some higher numbers on 13s in this regard. So, but he gets back here pretty quickly, and we just have these double purifications going out. Burst of Light is going to go, and we want to make sure that we get another light spawn out of that so he doesn't heal from the other light spawn doing that. So this is where you'd ordinarily lust if you had lusted that first pull before the second boss, because Braum Pike can just rot your team down. It gets very, very scary very quickly. But once you kill these priests, you can chain a lot of stuff into this. So we're going to be focusing these priests, making sure that we kick as many things as possible, especially these greater heals, making sure that we use stops for those. And then once the priests go down, I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, okay, 6 minutes is already going to be pretty tight for a final boss on a 13. So we'll try and get some of these footmen in here too. I'm pretty sure that I can live just like the Crusader Strike, that sort of thing. I'm not really worried about dying. It's really just the rest of my party that I'm worried about. So again, we will focus the priest, cleave off of Braum Pike as well. Should probably be focusing the mini boss. You don't want to really be put in this situation necessarily, but that is okay. So priest or Braum Pike as our primary target, cleaving off of them. And then once the priest goes down, Brawn Pike is at about 30% health. We'll get this other pack, chain this in, because the footmen aren't going to do anything to anyone else. It's just going to be me. So there we go. We'll soak up the next Blazing Strike. And we get a Darkness here, which will protect people from that rot damage, which we love to see. And there we go. We take out Brawn Pike. Now we just have the priest and all of these footmen. And as soon as this priest dies, I'm thinking about taking these footmen into another pull. Again, they're only hitting me, so they're really not that dangerous. So priest is going to go down here, and I'm like, okay, we need to double pull this with the footmen. Shouldn't be too bad. There's only a couple kicks in this pull. I guess there is 2 priests, which I didn't really realize, but we need to save time wherever possible. Making sure to kick those fireball volleys and going from there. Even the Demon Hunter using a Fear Sigil just to stop some things from doing what they want to do. And everyone's just going to be getting hit like a freight train here. Try and use my Ursul's Typhoon to get a nice little pixel stack and stop the mobs from casting for a sec. And then we're looking to kick those greater heals especially. And there we go. The pull actually goes pretty well. I think we saved a ton of time by doing those sorts of chain pulls in this room. Just make sure that when you are doing things in this room, you keep the light spawns in mind. Make sure that those aren't exploding at 30% health and healing low health mobs. Make sure that you're getting those greater heals and the fireball volleys above all else. You can let a couple smites go out. Just make sure that you have kicks for those big AoE hits. And then I'm trying to drag these over to the boss because I know that we are having a bit of a time crunch here. So we'll get this paladin up the stairs. And I don't really want to pull this guy with the final boss just because, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a good idea, especially with the Sacred Tolls going out. But we need to save time. 4 minutes on the clock. The healer says mana. I know that he needs mana going into this room, but I know that we don't have the time to let him get mana. I figure because he's a Discipline Priest, Discipline Priests don't use that much mana as well, so I figure about 20% is going to be fine for this fight. There's a lot of downtime on this fight as well, so as you can see, there's not a whole lot of raid damage going out, so he can just kind of chill. He shouldn't have to expend a ton of mana, and I can just soak these smites as long as they're going into me, so not a big deal. Don't have a whole lot of damage on this first phase. It's going to take a bit, but make sure that we look away for the blinding light. Everyone successfully does that. No need to dispel that off of anybody. If you're a healer, keep an eye out for that. You can dispel that instantly. The disorient can be pretty bad, as we saw in the last attempt of this key. But yeah, we'll just keep thwacking away at this boss, looking to get her to about 50%, and then we'll move up these stairs. So we'll just skip forward to when that happens. No need to watch the rinse and repeat. But yeah, this boss doesn't really do a whole lot on this down phase. You just make sure that you look away, run the beam out, and then dodge the circle on the ground, as you can see over in the top right-hand corner there. So we pop Stampeding Roar and get on up, and then we type lust, because it seems like this hunter needs to be told multiple times to lust, and there we go, we finally do get it. I see that I have Ursul's up and all the neophytes are coming from the right hand side here, so I drop Ursul's just to make sure that they are going to stay put, so we can try and get some more damage and hopefully wait for the holy light stuff to start killing them. And maybe even stagger some of these neophytes. As you can see, the first wave dies to just all the holy explosions that are going on, and then the other ones will get pretty low. Unfortunately, we don't have like Ursul's or any kind of CC. Luckily, we get the Chaos Nova CC. These neophytes, they hit like absolute freight trains, so if you have like evasion as a rogue, if you have any kind of defensive, make sure that you aren't dying to those. We look away for Blinding Light as that comes out, and once those adds are dead, this boss is really just rinse and repeat from the first phase. We'll get those beams that you want to run out. She'll do a little bit of pulsing AoE damage, kick the smites wherever possible, but as you can see, they don't do too much damage to me. And then we'll get the circle to dodge in the top right. Pretty slow cast. You have plenty of time to move. Should not be that big of a deal. So as you can see, we're very, very tight on time, but we have all of the enemy forces complete. And as long as we don't lose anybody here, Priest being at about 0% mana, As long as we don't lose anybody here, we should time it. So we do get redemption from this key, and I just wanted to share that with anyone that is watching these videos. Hope this helped. I hope the route is helpful for you. Just make sure that you get some better damage, and you should have plenty of time to time this key. So good luck in your Mythic Plus adventures. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Leave a comment what you guys want to see next, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.